October 21st, the new moon at 28 degrees of Libra, happening at 8:25 a.m. Eastern Time. So account for that if you're in a different time zone. And we talk about lunations every single month. So in my last class 2 weeks ago, we talked about the full moon in Aries. And we are currently at the very tail end of Libra season, preparing to enter Scorpio season. But because we are in Libra season, when we have a new moon, the new moon is in Libra because it has to do with what the sun and moon are doing in relation to each other. They are lining up, blocking the light out. And so we have the new moon occurring in the same sign that the sun is in. And new moons energetically represent beginnings. This is the start of a chapter. It's an opportunity for us to plant that seed. If you have any sort of a manifestation practice, and again, I have a whole manifestation log that's in my calendar. So I like prompt you on the new moon, hey, go to the log, write your things down, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a manifestation practice, this is the day to do it. So because it's at 8:25 a.m. Eastern Time, you want to look at your calendar, your time zone, and you don't want to do it before. So number one rule with the new moon, number one rule for new moon manifestation is don't do it on an eclipse. So if it's a new moon eclipse, skip it. Number two rule is don't do it before the peak happens because you're not in the energy yet. So you want to do it either right at the time or after, and that goes into rule number 3, but not before it changes signs. So you want to look at that and say, okay, on the 21st, it's going to be in Libra, but does it change into Scorpio that day? Or is it the next day? Like, how much of a window do I have? So that's what you want to keep in back of mind whenever you are planning to do any sort of a new moon ritual. So for Libra, when we're talking about a new moon in this sign, Libra represents judgment, fairness. It's all about the aesthetics, balance, beauty. Let's beautify it. Let's make it aligned visually, maybe even energetically too. And it's very relationship focused. It is the peacekeeper. It wants people to get along, reputation for doing a bit of appeasing. So what we are looking to do here is manifest casting out for the full moon in Libra, which will be happening on April Fool's Day, April 1st, 2026. So whenever we have this new moon, full moon manifestation cycle, we're casting out approximately 6 months. So again, it depends on how things line up in the sky, approximately 6 months out. We're planting the seeds now for April 1st of next year. And if you look in your chart at 28 degrees, so the single degree point, it's going to be right at the end because contained within a sign, the signs go from 0 to 29. So 28 is going to be right at the end. Which house, which life area is this new moon activating? Do you have any planets sitting around here? 5 degrees one way, 5 degrees the other way. Is there anything that's in range that could be picked up that adds a little flavor, a little spice to the new moon? If not, you just look at the house and say, okay, it's in this house. What seeds could I be planting there to create more balance, to align my relationships or develop new relationships or deepen my relationships or infuse creativity or fairness or improved decision-making, any of the above? That's something that we can target. If you want to take the astrology out, you just, whatever to your heart's content, can say, what do I want to call in my life? And you have the option to do that every single month. If you want to include the astrology, you factor in the sign, you factor in the house, and that just narrows, like, it kind of gives you the set list of criteria of like, okay, so if I want to manifest, like, let me work with the energy. Here's my few options. What do I want to call in? What do I want to, because if we were talking about Aries, it might be what I want to pursue, but we're talking about Libra. So it's like, what do I want to be working better, to be more beautiful, more balanced, more fair, more connected. And that's the vision that you're trying to set. Misty can consider creating the balance, peace, harmony, and actually connection. Super fascinating to have this in the 12th house, because the 12th house is representing like your relationship with your soul and with isolation. So you're saying, how can I connect to my healing? How can I make peace? How can I beautify? How can I enhance my experiences of when I am alone, when I am doing the really deep healing work? How can I make it a more pleasant experience for myself? Those are some questions that you could ask. You also could consider, in this area of soul growth, what's something that would support you in your development? What's something that would help you to combat your undoing, which is in 12th house? So what is the undoing of Libra? You're going to be thinking about those low vibrational traits. So where in my life do I need to call in things that can help me develop, nurture, etc., those people-pleasing tendencies, or, putting other people first, or focusing more on the harmony, or superficial connection versus depth and substance, or avoiding conflict. Are there areas in your life, and specifically with your deepest work and reflections, where that is coming up? So something that you could choose to call in, take it based on that. Like, how could I heal that? Yvonne, Libra moon at 5 degrees. So because we're talking about 8 degrees, way out of range, won't be picked up. But it does mean that you've already had your lunar return, which happens approximately once a month in the last couple days, maybe a couple days ago. So today's Wednesday, maybe sometime on Monday that you had your lunar return, and you could have been feeling especially emotionally activated or charged or sensitive. And there's a little bit of a different flavor to it based on your natal placement. So because you're looking at Libra, then it's going to probably be like relationship fairness based. So you could be maybe especially fired up of like, this isn't fair, this isn't right, they shouldn't be doing this, or why can't we get along, or whatever it is. That's more likely to be cropping up at a lunar return. So like when I have my lunar return, which would have been the one right before, because mine is in Virgo, then it's like, okay, I might be more activated to do certain health related things, or organizing or cleaning. So every lunar return is a little bit different. But yeah, so for this new moon, out of range, not impacted. But if it's in your 5th house, then that's looking at your creativity. Perfect for Libra. Libra is one of the few creative signs because it's ruled by Venus. So looking at creativity, looking at pleasure. So, what could you call in of like ways to have more fun, ways to get along with people if you are interested in dating, calling in a dating relationship. Again, this is not long term, but like having chemistry with people, anything related to children. If you have kids, or you would like kids, or you want to work with kids, maybe it's your inner child. It's not even a kid separate from you. It's you reconnecting to your own inner child. Those are great things to call in with new moon in Libra in the 5th house. Carrie, ooh, baby, I got Pluto right at 28. Okay. So Carrie, 9th house, this is about, in Pluto there. Whew. Okay, so 9th house is looking at things that you're learning. You're studying, you're teaching, you're traveling, long distance travel, understanding of cultures, society, religion, spirituality, astrology, very wide array, publishing. And then you're folding in Pluto, which is about transformation. So not only are you calling in a better understanding of yourself, the world, society at large, ways to be a better student, a better teacher, etc. And you're also bringing in how you can transform, lifelong transformation, revealing subconscious patterns that you may be carrying. So you could use that information to help you over the next 6 months to become that better student of the world, society, spirituality, or the better teacher. Yeah, lots of energy unlocked with having a Pluto, natal Pluto right on that. If you have 26 degrees, which is the line of the transition in Placidus system with the 10th into the 11th, then that means that at 28 degrees, which is 2 degrees later, we're talking about the 11th house for you, Muriel. So for the 11th house, we are talking about one specific type of relationship, which is friendships, community, networking, social media. So if you wanted to call in new friendships or a club or organization or something to be a part of, activism, opportunities to work with other people and feel really connected, that's something that you could definitely lean into for a new moon ritual on the 21st. And if you are currently evaluating your friendships at all, like, are these friends working for me or not? Again, Libra wants to bring balance. So maybe you're not saying that you want to have new friends, but you want to call in clarity around how these relationships are working or not so that you can take inventory. So by that goal of April 1st of 2026, that you can have a better understanding of like, which friends do you want to keep or which friendships are maybe not working or supporting you? Muriel, yes, I'm evaluating friendships and community. Yep, 100%. So that's what you're building in that, in part because we're in Libra season. So your energy is already focused on community and friendships. It's been doing that for almost a month now, but this new moon will allow you to plant the seeds to call in like a new beginning, development in this area, more harmony in this area. So you're harnessing what's been activated already. Then we also have Venus chilling in the area. So it's a few different pieces that are asking us to work with the Libran area of our chart. Would something at 1 degree be close enough? I have Saturn, maybe I just need to know the degrees of proximal, so I stop asking this. I usually say 5. So if we were backing up, so if this is at 28 degrees, you back up to 23, and then you just do plus 10. So then it means 3 degrees. So when you have a 5 to 5, then it basically gives you the 10. So once you have one of the numbers, you can just do minus 10 or plus 10, and it gives you the neat range. So if you have it at 1 degree of Scorpio, then Saturn is also picked up, but you have a direct hit with Pluto because it's at the degree point. But if you have 1 degree of Scorpio, then you're having transformation that you're calling in, but it has to be long term. Yeah, you want to incorporate that it's not just to transform for transformation's sake, but that it's treated with a seriousness that you want it to be lasting, and that you are coming at it with the weight that it deserves to like really matter and be of significance. Same day. So in the morning, so that was 8:25, we were talking about the new moon. Later that day, under 12 hours later, also on October 21st, we have Mercury entering its pre-shadow at 7:10 p.m. at 20 degrees of Scorpio. So this is happening a sign over from where that new moon was occurring, so out of range. And just to give some background, this is really just like a little mini update. We're going to talk about the Mercury retrograde more in depth in early November when the retrograde is actually happening. But this is just the teaser. This is to remind you, by the way, this is coming. Get ready. Mercury in astrology represents communication, travel, technology. It is currently in Scorpio. If you want the overview of that, I have a video on my YouTube channel. You can watch that to get the breakdown, understand what that means. And when we're talking about a pre-shadow, all a pre-shadow means is that the planet is starting to slow down its progress through the sky. So we hit the checkpoint that marks the beginning and the end of the retrograde cycle. So it's giving us that marker of 20 degrees Scorpio. And so what happens is it slows down, it prepares to slow, but it's going to keep going. Like we all know it's going to move. It's going to keep going into Sagittarius because that's also going to happen later this month, which I'll be talking about shortly. So it's going to keep going. It's going to go to 21, 22, 23, all the way past 29, and it's going to go into Sagittarius. And then it's going to hit the other goalpost. And that's the point when it retrogrades. So we have this first one, which is like, hey, it's going to come back here during the retrograde. And then we have the other one, which will happen in November, which is when it stations retrograde and starts to back up. So we'll back all the way up and it's going to reach this 20 degrees of Scorpio. So that's why this marker happening on the 21st is just, this is giving us the parameters around the retrograde. So this is the starting point. So during the retrograde season, the few weeks that it is retrograde, we care about what's happening in our chart 20 degrees on of Scorpio, because that's captured in this Sagittarius Scorpio retrograde cycle. So the retrograde itself, again, is happening on the 9th of November. So we have pre-shadow, 21st, retrograde starting 9th. Then I'll go into more of these dates later, but just again for context, then it stations direct. Then we have it exits the post-shadow. So there's 4 dates that we care about for a retrograde. So again, for the calendar, like I include that, all 4 dates, all 4 degree points, all 4 times, so you have them. Because I think that especially when we're talking about Mercury retrograde, they're known for the hijinks can start already. So Mercury retrogrades have a reputation of, because we're talking about communication, travel, technology, things going awry, miscommunication. So there's typos, misspeaking, lack of clarity in speech and writing, misunderstandings, issues with travel, things getting canceled, getting booked, getting lost in transit. Technology, the amount of times this has happened to me, all of a sudden randomly your computer stops working or all of your devices die. You have a bug or you have, something else related to technology that goes awry. Those are the classic signatures for the retrograde itself. So again, that couple week period in the middle. For the pre-shadow, what we're doing is we're approaching. So think about it, like we're approaching that period of jumbledness, minor chaos, feelings of chaos. So we're approaching that. So you could start having things that go a little awry. That being said, of the 3 parts, so we have pre-shadow, we have retrograde, and we have post-shadow. Ranking of intensity, number 1 is the retrograde itself. Number 2 is the post-shadow, because we're still at the peak and the energy is going away. Number 3 is the pre-shadow. So this is quote unquote the best time of the retrograde, other than obviously a Cazimi. That's the best day, like actually a good day. But that's what we want to keep in mind. This is a 3-part story, and part 1 begins on the 21st. We're starting to build an intensity until the 9th. That's when we kick off of, here's the retrograde. We are in it. So more on that later. So I'm not going to do a full deep dive going into like what's everybody's chart, all that business, because we will be talking about that in a couple weeks. But please, please, please keep this in mind. And we're going to be giving a little bit more details on this when I get into the Mercury ingress into Sagittarius, which will be our last transit of the day. But just the mental preparation, and of course, Mercury can represent the mind too. So the more that we can be ready for our mind potentially going a little bit off the rails, the better. Better. This means I'm going to start feeling it this week. I usually felt it the week before. Yeah, and depending on the person, again, this is why it matters in looking at your chart, because regardless of where your natal placement is, like especially if this is your Mercury return for either side. So if you have Mercury in Scorpio or Mercury in Sagittarius and it's in range, very important to pay attention to that. But otherwise, like you just want to see where in your chart this is happening, where the review is occurring, where the mishaps, miscommunications, issues may be cropping up, because it's crossing two houses. Depending on the chart you're looking at. If you're looking at whole sign, it's 2. If you're Placidus, it could be 1, it could be 2. Who knows? Maybe it happens to be 3 if you have a really tiny house in there. But most likely it's 1 or it's 2 life areas. So we can get prepared, again, as early as possible to know this is what's coming and how do I kind of work with this.